joined now by the former Prime Minister of Australia, Tony Abbott. Mr. Abbott, thank you so much for joining us. It means a lot to me, it means a lot to the channel and indeed the people of this country as well. We heard a touching story there about the Queen's personal relationship with former US President Ronald Reagan. I think it would be fitting, really, to talk about some of maybe your interactions, your experiences of our late great Queen.
Well, the last thing I want to do is to blab about private conversations, particularly with Her Majesty the Queen and particularly on this sad and sombre day. But while it is a sad and sombre day, it's also a day to give thanks for one of the most magnificent lives the world has ever seen. And for me, I am simply recalling her wonderful words from South Africa on her 21st birthday that my whole life, be it long or short, will be devoted to your service and that of the great imperial family to which we all belong. She was true to that pledge every day of her life, and it's so fitting that on the second last day on earth, she should swear in the 15th British Prime Minister in Liz Truss. So for me, the important thing about Her Majesty the Queen is that she represented what was best in us. She was part of our history. She was the embodiment of that great British tradition of keeping calm and carrying on. And today, I think, as well as being sad, we should count the blessings of having had this wonderful woman for so long.
Class, you can't teach stoicism, you can't teach, I suppose, really, extreme service and dignity and a sense of duty. They don't make them like the Queen anymore, do they?
Well, let's see. I have great hopes for King Charles. He has been an activist heir, which I suppose is understandable, given that he's had to wait a long time. But he's very much his mother's son. I know here in Australia, we will all give him the fair go that he deserves, and I think he will very much govern in the same spirit. He will reign in the same spirit that his mother has shown, that his grandfather has shown, that his great-grandfather has shown. One of the wonderful virtues of the House of Windsor is that successive generations have been, as it were, bred to a life of duty and service, and I'm sure that our new king will rise to this heavy occasion.
A lot of people in this country are very keen to get your views on the views of the Commonwealth, I suppose, and indeed our royal family where you are. I think most people in this nation here in Great Britain are hoping that our relationship remains as close as it was, despite the passing of the Queen. Do you see that happening?
I'm sure it will. I'm absolutely sure that it will. One of the benefits of Brexit is the ability of Britain to once more focus on the wider world, and in particular on the Commonwealth, and I suppose especially on those countries that are such kith and kin. And that's always been the relationship between Australia and the United Kingdom. I don't think any Briton coming to Australia feels like he or she is in a foreign country. Certainly, I don't think any Australians going to Britain feel like they're in a foreign country. We, both of us, feel remarkably at home in each other's country. The kind of irritations that there once were of having to be in the wrong queue at Heathrow, that's all gone. And particularly with the recent AUKUS agreement and the recent trade deal between Australia and the United Kingdom, I think that the closeness between our two countries will endure forever.
You are a statesman through and through, with incredibly close ties in this country and vast experience of what it's like to operate at the thick end, frankly, on the world stage. And one thing I'm really keen to get your views on, Mr. Abbott, is an increasingly frustrating thing for me, which is sometimes the views of today, and the views of the youth of today, I should say, when it comes to mistrust or dissatisfaction with tradition and the establishment, and dare I say it at times, conservative values as well. And I was hoping that you may be able to give your personal advice, really, maybe, for a younger generation on why it's important to have things like a royal family, like a sense of continuity and establishment.
It keeps us grounded. This is something which has stood above all the tumult of our times. This has been both changing and changeless in what has been a great age of disruption. And I think there's a deep human need for all of this. And I think this is one of the great strengths of the monarchy. When all around is in flux, something important, something almost sacred stays the same.